heard of Elisabeth Finch? Elisabeth Finch, as I call her, a trauma succubus, which is fitting because she wrote on the Vampire Diaries. Elisabeth Finch is a former TV writer, Hollywood television screenwriter, who wound up being infamous for a whole lot of lies she told. And recently, a multi-part documentary was released on Peacock that my wife and I just watched, all about this scandal. And since the release of that documentary, Elisabeth Finch has put out a statement on Instagram. I have not read this statement at all yet. It is going to be my complete first initial reaction here live on the show. So here's some context. Elisabeth Finch was a writer and co-executive producer for Grey's Anatomy. Of course, medical drama, huge show, like dozens of seasons long, right? Like crazy long show under showrunner Shonda Rhimes. And in 2022, this multi-part expose comes out in Vanity Fair all about Elisabeth Finch and how she essentially lied to get her job on Grey's Anatomy. It wasn't the first time she'd tried to get that job, and also her writing wasn't very good. But she made up a whole lot of really serious, unforgivable lies. Stole people's stories, faked illnesses, all to not only get a job on the show, but to be the expert in the room on every kind of trauma you could imagine. Like very histrionic behavior. Definitely histrionic personality disorder, I would say, in my opinion. So I read that when it came out, and my background is in writing, not screenwriting, fiction writing, which Finchy. And my writer friends and I loved it so much because you could just tell in that written story, you could tell how much the writers in that writing room must have hated this woman. And we could relate because we'd been, in a grad school program together with people like this. And now they were finally getting their due, where they were like, I thought this woman was crazy, and she definitely was. So that was in 2022. This comes out. It's like this huge sensation. Too tired to care. Stein rejected David Duke's endorsement. We're going to talk about that. That's coming up next. Right now we're talking about Elisabeth Finch. Okay, so that was 2022. The story drops and it's a bombshell. Like everybody is just rocked by this story about this writer who lied her way into a job on like one of the biggest shows of all time. And since then, Vanity Fair, who aired the expose, the written expose, they took the story and turned it into a multi-part documentary. And it really adds another layer to it because there is so much video footage of this woman, like talking about her illnesses, talking about her traumas that are all made up. Because of course she loved the attention. So she did all kinds of interviews and was in all kinds of stuff. And so you get to see all of that. And of course there's personal videos and everything. It's like, it was so well done. There was so much research and so many assets, so much evidence, and it all comes together really beautifully because it's real journalists that are putting it together. So I loved it, highly recommend it. It's called Anatomy of Lies, and it's on Peacock. You can also read the original story, which I also recommend. I think it's called Scene Stealer. Yeah, Scene Stealer. I believe it was in 2 parts. And the reason that this all came out is someone very, very close to Elisabeth, Finchy, as she calls herself, came forward and went to Vanity Fair and said she's an effing liar. Okay, so highly recommend you watch it. I'm not gonna spoil it any further than that, but I wanted to read her statement that she has put out about what she did. This is the first time I have read anything that she's put out about what happened. And here it is. And actually, shout out to my wife who found this today as we were finishing up watching it. Okay, here we go. So this was shared, of course, comments off, just yesterday. And she says, I've given no one any reason to believe a word I say. You got that right. I lied about so much. Things so many people have been devastated by in real life. I'm sorry feels like the smallest words compared to what I've done, yet they are the truest. I trapped myself in the addiction of lies, betraying and traumatizing my closest family, friends, and colleagues. I'm making amends and expressing my genuine remorse as best I can when people are ready. I'd love to know what that looks like, because from the documentary's point of view, you still have not made yourself seem like you have actual real remorse. Let's see. And I've accepted the fact that some may never be. I've been receiving mental health treatment for nearly 3 years, and I work hard every day to sustain a life where the truth matters more than anything. First of all, mental health treatment is where you got a lot of your power from, a lot of your lies from, a lot of your attention from. So when you say you're receiving mental health treatment, all I see is you doing what you did before, taking up all the air in the room and, making yourself the victim. But maybe that's wrong. Maybe that's not true. The truth is, I married a woman with whom I fell deeply, truly in love. Jennifer Dawn had 5 kids I came to love as my own quickly, fiercely, unconditionally, and still do to this day. They got married after the kids only knew her for a month. Days into us first dating, she got down on one knee and proposed with pieces of lavender strung together into a ring. Days into us first dating. That is not what it was. That is not what was portrayed in the documentary. In the documentary, it was 4 weeks after she met the kids, she proposed to Jen. The biggest mistake of my life, alongside lying about cancer in the first place, yes, she lies about having cancer, was saying yes to Jennifer's proposal before I was honest with her. The truth is, there is no excuse, no justification. Nothing will ever make my lies to anyone okay. Nothing erases the trauma I caused, the fear, the pain, the anger, the tears, the time. And nothing matters more to me than holding myself accountable in every way. I will continue to repair whatever damage I can and ensure I am not the worst things I've done. I recognize all of this will take time for people to believe. I will work and wait as long as it takes. Elisabeth Finch. In that statement, in that very prepared statement, there was a lie. If the documentary is telling the truth, there was a lie about a pretty big thing, which is the timeline of their relationship. So, you know what I feel is coming? I feel like she's going to write a book. I feel like she's going to write a book from her point of view and hope to get the recognition and accolades for coming clean about being a pathological liar. And according to the documentary, she still hasn't retracted some of her most egregious lies that could have ruined the lives of people. So I would say she still has some work to do. And I hope that Miss Jen is staying far, far away from her. And I don't know, man. I don't know how you end up like that. Like, I understand as a creative the often toxic desire to be appreciated and seen and noticed and popular, right? To get notoriety and fame. I understand that. It's something that I struggle with because it makes me really exhausted sometimes that I'm not as far as I think I should be. But then I see someone like Elisabeth Finch, someone who has basically sacrificed their own self, basically sold. Literally, this is like selling your soul to the devil. Like, she doesn't have a personality anymore because she has just built a fractured one out of all of her lies that she can't keep straight. And that was enough to get her a really good job on a really famous show, right? But it's built on sand. It's built on quicksand. And so this makes me grateful that I have a sense of self and have not built any success I have on people's pity for fake things that I've made up about myself. So as a writer, I have a lot more sympathy for the people in the room with her that she monopolized in the writing room, whose stories she stole, whose money and food she took out of their mouths by stealing their work. Those are the people that I feel sorry for. I don't know what comes next for Elisabeth Finch, but this kind of thing feels chronic. It's one of those situations where someone is getting mental health help, but it's not for the right thing. Like, you are sick. You've been pretending to be sick for a long time, but you're sick in a different way.